Ken, I'm not going to date you here. I'm not going to do it, but you've covered a lot of these things, and you grew up literally like a football punt or two away from Daytona International Speedway. So I'm going.
I was born a couple of punts from the speedway. I grew up about a few miles.
Listen, it's all,
We got
a
to
little
be.
bit
If we
this, a little
can't
bit
be
of that.
anything else, we got to be accurate here, sir.
You're right. This is Daytona Motor Mouths. That's Ken Willis. I'm Chris Minell. Ken,
Yeah.
here's your starting question for this week. What is your favorite memory from Daytona's summer race? And it can be last year. It can be 1974 if you'd like. I know you were only one or two during that one, but
Let me think. Yeah, the first actual race I attended at Daytona was a 400 miler, and
do you remember the year?
I was in the late 70s. I think it was one of only two 400s that Richard Petty won. Late 70s somewhere, I think. His 200th win in '84 is obvious. Junior in 2001 when he came back 6 months after his dad was killed, or 5 months, and won that's big. There's been some really close ones. Just for the fun and the sport of it, I think back, and I got to go back. It's in the '90s. John Andretti was driving for Cale Yarborough, and when July rolled around, the rumors had him out of that seat at year's end, or maybe even before year's end. And that was back in the days of the trade magazines. We had the Winston Cup Scene. We had one or two other magazines that covered the sport, and a lot of the Southern papers had guys that followed the sport on a weekly basis. One of them was named Mike Mulhern, worked for one of the papers in the Carolinas, and he was dogged, as they would say. He had his nose to everything. He would be in that garage working it. He knew something about everything. He was the Bob Pockrass of his day, and he was chief among those, saying it looks like Andretti's out at Yarborough Racing after this year. John Andretti wins the race. It was his first career win. It might have been his second. I'm trying to remember now if he won one or two. And they used to bring him to the upstairs press box in those days. They didn't just keep everything in the downstairs media center in the garage. So he comes to the upstairs press box, and the first thing he does is start laying into Mike Mulhern. This is my career. This is my livelihood. I have a family. For you to be printing rumors about me getting fired, blah, 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 blah. And I just remember sitting there. I was young at the time, and I'm like, oh, this is sporty. I didn't know it could get like this in a press box. So I'll always remember John Andretti doing that. I remember Jimmy Spencer getting his first win at the 400. He made a pass on the last lap, and then he won again a month or so later at Talladega. We found out later why he was winning, why those Junior Johnson cars were so good on the super speedways. Not good, but they were really good on speedways, but not for a good reason. If I remember right, I reserve the right to be wrong. Those stand out.
Do you want me to give you years on those last two?
I think Andretti and Jimmy Spencer were within a year or two of each other. That was mid to late 90s, I want to say.
You're right. Andretti was 97. Jimmy Spencer was 94. So 3 years.
Okay, nearly bout, as they say.
Yeah,
those stand out. Well, you know what happens the older you get. The stuff that's happened in the last 10 years just becomes a blur, and you can't really remember any of that. What you remember is the stuff that happened when life was slower. When you didn't have as much in your memory bank and things could take root, and then as you start piling things up in there, you don't know where they go. You just get slapped around, So, yeah, I remember those. I remember my first one I went to when I saw Petty win. I remember watching him win in '84. Then those two more unlikely winners and just what that was all about and what it was like. Jimmy Spencer made just a power move on the last lap to pass one of the blue bloods. I forget who it was. Del Jarrett or somebody, but yeah, it was
Ernie Irvan.
It's Swervin Irvin. Yeah. Yep.
He won by just 0.008 seconds, making it one of the closest finishes in NASCAR history at the time.
What people don't realize is Chris is not looking that up. He has all that size 8 head of his.
Jeez, size 8.5. Right. Speaking of bubbles, let's talk about the NASCAR bubble. Break it down for us. What are we looking at coming into this week? Because the Coke Zero Sugar 400 is going to solidify the playoff field, solidify the playoff order. What are we looking at come this week?
Ryan Preece is the first man out, right? 17th. Am I right?
Correct.
31 points behind Van Gisbergen.
Yep.
31. And if we go back to Texas in the spring, he got penalized 25 points. So he could be 6 back if not for that.
What did he say, Ken?
He got roughed up inadvertently or advertently by Ty Gibbs earlier in the race. Comes on the radio, drops a bunch of F-bombs. This is the year of the F-bombs for Ryan Preece, because remember, he won the Clash to start the year, and he was so effing happy. It's effing believable.
I forgot about that. He did.
Yes, and so then a few months later, he hits, he comes into the season with the wind at his back, and then basically gets off to a flying stop when the regular season started, and it hadn't gotten a lot better. And he came on his team radio at Texas and basically threw around a bunch of F-bombs about Ty Gibbs and said, he's going to get his. I'll take care of him. And he did. And NASCAR used that as evidence that, you obviously purposely wrecked him. And he got a $50,000 fine, which has to hurt. I don't know how those things work in modern NASCAR, how much of it the driver pays, how much the team pays, or just what. But then a 25-point penalty, which right now he would love to be just 6 back instead of 31. And in front of Gisbergen, you've got it's another 11 points to Cindric. So he's 42?
13 points to Cindric.
44. So he's 44 ahead of 17th place. And if there's anywhere that's going to feel less safe than anywhere else, it's going to be Daytona and a plate race at a Daytona Talladega. So yeah, if the big one happens early and you're part of it, boy, I tell you what, you're going to have a Cindric or Vance Gisbergen sitting there in the hauler watching and hoping for Ryan Preece to finish, 33rd or something instead of 5th or 4th, and damn those stage points too. You can pile up some points in stage points too. So look for Preece. He had a good week last week at New Hampshire, just sort of out of the blue. Look for that to happen again, and you're going to ask me for a winner, and I'm going to speak about another out of the blue guy when we get to that. So move along.
Don't spoil that yet. We're ending with that. We'll start with your favorite memory and end with your prediction. I mean, we got a loaded show here. So they're clinched up through the 13th spot, which is Daniel Suarez. Suarez is in the playoffs. Bubba Wallace is like all but clinched in 14th.
But clinched.
Hey now. And then Brad Keselowski is still technically surviving back there in 18th. 19th is Ross Chastain. He's eliminated. So, again, you need some miracles back there.
That's just – we talk about how bad a year Connor Zilic has had in this rookie year because of the expectations. I don't know if it's as bad as Ross Chastain's, But then when you look at it, it's team-wide. I mean, Zilic is on that team. Van Gisbergen, thanks to the road courses, I mean, he's sitting there in 16th. Otherwise, he would be well out of the playoff.
Yeah, 20th, 22nd.
But, they do have road courses, and he's really good on it. So that's a stupid thing to say. It's part of the game. So, yeah, I mean, the Ross Chastain season, and it's team-wide. You don't blame Ross. You got to blame the team and their cars for that. But still, boy, that's a big disappointment. It's going to miss the postseason by a bunch.
This guy's going to miss the postseason, but it's not really, I mean, it's no big deal. It's not like he's been racing all year. Corey Heim comes back this week. Part-timer Corey Heim will get back into the 2311 race car this week. He's in the number 67. What do you think of Corey Heim coming back? And this is his first race since about a month ago. Since winning
the Brickyard.
Yep.
Yeah, he's run 8 races. The first 5 of them, he finished well back. Then he qualified better and won at San Diego, the road course, street course. Then he finished, I think, around 8th or 10th somewhere, and then he turned around and won his next start.
He finished 9th at Chicagoland.
Yeah, and he hasn't raced since the Brickyard. And he's got, I think, 3 more races after this, 2 or 3 more after this. Then next year he'll be full-time. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's competitive. I love it when people do this, and I'm going to do it. He told me last week by phone. Speaking to him last week, as if I do that every week with him, he did say that the problem they were having early on, and he said it matter-of-factly, not sounding like he's making a big excuse, was, when you're a non-chartered team, you go out qualifying early. They send the non-chartered teams out early, and then they use the metrics of who's been doing the worst over the last several weeks, and on top of season-long owner points. So the worse you're doing, the bigger long shot you are. It seems like the earlier you go out to qualify, and those guys are at a disadvantage when they go out early for, there's no rubber on the track or less rubber on the track. They're just, anyway, there's a multitude of reasons, maybe 2 or 3 anyway. So when you don't qualify well, you don't get a good pit selection. And pit selection is often key at certain tracks. It really can make a big difference. And he said they were just getting behind the 8 ball early. They were falling behind early, and they just couldn't make up the ground. And then at the road course race, you qualify in a group, so you don't have that issue. And so he was able to get a better starting spot, better pit selection, and they won. And then for some reason at Indy, it didn't come into play, and he got a good starting spot, good pit selection, and won. So he's hoping that might happen again this week by the nature of the beast with the plate race type of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's competitive. I believe he's won at Daytona in a truck during his really good truck career.
He also, he was in that lead pack late in the 500 this February, and then got taken out late, I believe. So like in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, he's. Yeah, I'm not shocked at all if he's in the top 3 or 4 at the end, and if he wins, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm not going to pick him. Not going to pick him though.
All right. I did say he's coming back. He's coming back to the track. He may not be coming back to the race because he's one of those 5 open cars, and we only have room in the field of 40 for 4 of them. Yeah. So he's got to qualify well.
41 on the entry list as we speak. Sometimes what happens later in the week, one of these, like a Beard Motorsports, Garage 66, Garage 66 is pulled out, I think, before. So if they run into issues and don't have enough stuff, they might decide late to pull out, and there'll only be 40. But if all 41 come down, only 40 are going to make the race, so somebody's going to go home. And Corey Haim is driving one of those cars doesn't have a chartered automatic entry into the race. So wouldn't that be something? Part of why I'm not picking him, by the way. Hint.
All right, we keep teasing it. Who are you picking?
Josh Berry.
Whoa!
Not a big shock, though. Wood Brothers car, they know how to get that car ready for Daytona. They know how to dial it in. They know how to play the fuel game. They know how to play the tire game, late in the race. They won Harrison Burton won in their car 2 years ago, for God's sake. So, and Josh Berry, it's funny how much horsepower the unemployment line, how much horsepower you can find in the unemployment line. He's a man without a country, has no cup ride for next year, and the prospects are very low. If you look at everybody's,
it's looking like it's not going to happen, right? I mean, it's maybe an O'Reilly seat.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden, the last 4 weeks, he's running like they wish they'd run all year. His average finish last 4 weeks might be the best in the whole league, but. What was he, second last week or third? He's had a second, a third, maybe 2 seconds.
He was third this past weekend.
Yeah. So anyway, I wouldn't be surprised at all. In fact, I'm gonna have to go ahead. And it's kind of a trendy pick, because it's the Wood Brothers car. They're good at Daytona. He's good at Daytona. He's been on a roll. So it's not like a totally out of the blue. It's kind of out of the light blue,
All right.
Out of the gray. Probably out of the gray, not out of the blue.
Last 4 races, 7th, 4th, 8th, 3rd. Pretty good run there for Josh Berry. Of course, his best stretch of the season at a crucial time in his career. So, Ken, that's all I got for you. Anything else you want to mention before race week at Daytona here?
No. I wish I had some wisdom to lay on you, but I do want to apologize for the crack about your head because mine's pretty big too. I'm sorry. And it's kidding about the size 8 thing. I'm sure it's like 7 and 7/8.
I was gonna say you started this whole video with, we got to tell the truth. You were just telling the truth. It's okay. I'm not a fan.
It is the truth. I mean, your head. You do have a big head. It looks like, as they once said about Ted Kennedy, it looks like the box that a head comes in.
Easter Island type stuff.
I apologize for that too. It does not look like the box a head comes in. Just looks like a real big head. But there's a lot in there. There's a lot going on in there. I know that.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it off before we continue this.
Okay, because we don't want to get to my faults.